Hello there. So, so. I, you are someone, and I'm someone else. You know how this goes. You are someone, and I'm someone else. Why? Why does this thing decide to do that? Anyway, besides that, okay, well, let me explain to you my whole philosophy on why I do the things I do. I'm gonna get rid of that beeping. I don't think I can, so no, I'm gonna walk away from that. Anyway, if you heard that, don't worry about it. It's beeping. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a little story. Okay? A little story on authority. Okay? Authority sucks. Okay? The best way to put it, authority sucks. And, so the problem with authority figures is they don't understand that they're just like everyone else, obviously. They understand that much. But the little kids don't. And so when I was in first grade, I was running around the playground as you do. And this was like months before. Like we were running around the playground playing tag and doing all the fun stuff, right? In school, in first grade. Nothing wrong there. Everyone consented to being tagged, okay? Okay, then they made these dumb school rules. This was in first grade in California, right? I used to live in California, which is why I love the state, but I hate the rules. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? I love the state of California. There's nothing wrong with it intentionally, but it's the people. The people create the culture, and it's not the healthiest culture, not the healthiest. It's a very corrupt system in California. Anyway, when I was in first grade, they told us no running. Think about it, that's the one thing I live for. I used to run 5 miles a day now in high school, or when I was in high school. I'm thinking to myself, this is why I hate people. Because why was it important that we were running like the first few months? It was important. You didn't tell us anything. And now you tell us no running, no tagging, this, that, the other thing. Like, well, what's the point of enforcing the rules now? Would some lawsuit come in? I bet you it was a lawsuit. California is crazy, so it's probably a lawsuit. I mean, crazy California. It's CC, whatever. Communist, crazy, whatever. Three C's, whatever. We don't want to do political. We don't want to do labels, but I'm not a big communist. If you can tell anything about me. Anyway, I just don't understand. Like, my philosophy on life is if you're going to be an authority figure, at least introduce the ideal of why we should stop running. I mean, they probably did. Oh, you're going to get hurt. Maybe they did that. But it's like, why was it important the first few months when we were running? As an authority figure, you should explain, okay, we made a mistake. You shouldn't have been running the first few months in first grade, right? They never explained it why they just automatically changed the rules. I mean, I can understand the consequences on if you run in the park. I can understand that, but why was it not important a year later? Or a year following. You know what I mean? And so my philosophy on life is nothing makes sense. It's just the way that it is, and you must do what the world demands you to do. Now, that means you shouldn't enslave yourself. And I was really stupid today. Okay, my boss said, "Oh, do you want to leave?" I was only working for 1 hour. I decided to leave and clock out, and so I only got paid for 1 hour today. And my philosophy on life is if your job allows you to clock out early, just do it. Honestly, I don't want to be working every day, and I don't really care if I get paid the rest of the day because I don't need the extra money. I'm a young guy who can pay. I already have my car paid off. I don't need any other. What would I do with the extra money? Absolutely nothing. I'm a loser, right? So my philosophy is if you're gonna be a loser, why work the whole day and instead just be a loser and run a few miles and I'm a lazy 20-year-old. Okay, I do run. I do run. That's the only thing I do that has effort. I make music that's really lazy. I have my piano. I love my piano. I love playing on it. But I don't know how to play on it very well, and I'm too lazy to look up how to play on the piano, so I just test it out myself. I'm just experimenting, And another thing about my life, right? My philosophy on life is my entire life I've always had to do 5 times the effort to do what everyone else is doing. Now, you may disagree with this statement, but let me explain, right? So I have these I don't know, mental challenges, let's just say. When I was in kindergarten, they diagnosed me with these mental challenges, right? And I struggle with reading and writing and movement in my hands. My hands still don't function properly to what I want them to do. I can't export my ideals very well. I have a lot of input. I can it goes in my brain, but it doesn't go out of my brain exactly. And sometimes my input's screwed up, sometimes, but not always. And so they've noticed that my planning in my brain doesn't work. And so that's my philosophy is if you're going to work 5 times harder to do something and you're not going to get rewarded for it, why do it? If your entire society even expects you to go to college and work hard and pay double the amount of taxes just by going to college, don't do that. That's stupid, right? That's my opinion on it. Like 5 times the effort and I'm getting double the tax. No, no. I'm not dealing with that. Screw that. Average 20-year-olds are dumb. They're dumb. They just are, including me. I'm a dumb 20-year-old. I know that. But at least my philosophy is, hey, if it's going to take you 5 times the effort and you're not going to get rewarded for the amount of effort you're putting in, because it takes me 5 times longer to read and write. It takes me 5 times longer to cut a box open with a knife. It takes me 5 times longer to tie my shoes, for the most part. Most tasks that are fine motor planning, I don't, I just can't do them very well. It's called dyspraxia, and it affects your quality of life a little bit, little by little. It doesn't all of this punch at the one time. It slowly adds up to where, okay, you just spent an extra hour your day compared to someone else, or you spent more than that. Sometimes you spent 5 times the effort, but you spent an extra hour doing stuff that you probably shouldn't have been doing. You should have figured that out really quickly compared to the average person. But no, you're mentally, I would say not, I guess challenged, but you can do those things. You know what I mean? You can drive a car, but you're not the best at it. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but basically I can drive a car pretty well. But other people, are crazy. So they don't control the car very well. And that's basically the best way to explain. So you'll get there, but is it the safest way to get there? I assume not. And so that's kind of what I have, this philosophy of honestly, screw what most people think. No, the world that you're not entitled to anything, including me. I mean, sir, I would love to have a higher pay, but what does a higher pay do exactly for me? Well, kind of nothing because I don't really spend my money on anything. And another thing is, I do spend my money on rent and stuff, but I don't want to pay more that stuff. But another thing is, right? If you have a higher wage, doesn't everything else go up? Because that corporation you're working for has to pay the employees, but they also want a certain profit margin for their investors and for the people who own the business and all that stuff. So they have to hire the prices. They have to get higher prices. So everything around you went higher up in cost too. So having a higher wage didn't do anything. Now again, maybe real estate rent is maybe lower if they didn't because again your wage is not dependent on your real estate rent that you have to pay, but the rent you're living in, the rent you're renting out to someone. But I would assume that if you're a 20 something and you're advocating for a higher wage, like I don't feel like we should know the consequences of our things that we're trying to promote. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we don't do that. We don't do that a lot. And it's very sad. It is. Um It's very sad, and I don't know. My philosophy is my three words that I have described over the last 2 years is return on investment, right? ROI. Okay, ROI on everything. Every friend you have, every stock you own, literally everybody's a number to you. You just don't have any emotion left because at this point 90% of people aren't worth talking to, and they're just a number to you now. They're just your social security money now. You're just there to take their money. And so if you can lie to them, if you could say, "Oh, everything's fine. You can get your sociology degree. I'll make money off of it by buying stock in colleges." Right? Because that's what I do. I actually buy stock in these colleges that screw over 20-year-olds, you know, like me. And so while that is pretty bad behavior and while it's not moral, hey, society isn't punishing me for it. In fact, they're encouraging me to buy more stock because more 20-year-olds are so dumb they're going into debt for sociology degrees, right? And so like that's the thing is like it pays to lie to people. It does. I mean, everything I watch online is this slightly exaggerated. I mean, that's my philosophy on it. You don't have to be moral. There is no such thing as morality anymore. It's gone. And when first grade morality was kicked out the door for me, there is no trust in authority figures anymore. Why did they change the rules all of a sudden? I don't know. But to that day forward, in that first grade, I realized school was a scam. I realized that school, the teachers were not our friends. They were just there to control us. They were there. They were there for us to worship the state. Think about it. We want higher wages, but we're asking the government for higher wages, and we're asking the government to give us back our college debt. Like they're trying to what is it? Get to erase all the debt. That's just worshiping the government. All the teachers did was make us worship the government and give them a higher salary. The teachers got a higher salary by us worshiping the government. There is no morality there. Teachers are like salesmen. That's all teachers are. Teachers, guidance counselors, principals, they're all salesmen to get you to college. And then you blame everything on I guess you blame, I don't know who you blame exactly on the debt, but you blame the government, I guess, for the debt. And then you tell the government, hey, and then you're willing to do anything to erase that debt at that point. You've not only worshiped the state, but now you're enslaved to it. It's a very interesting philosophy on life, and I find it so depressing because there are so many people my age that just don't understand what situation they're in. Not even my parents understand how bad it is. I mean, sure, there are some people that go in the military and they do the same thing. They enslave themselves to that contract, but at least they signed it. They know what they're. I feel like they understand their responsibility more in the military than they do with college. College is a huge responsibility. It's riskier. I would argue it's riskier than the military because guess who's coming? Taxpayers are coming for the people who borrowed debt. They are. They're gonna be really mad at them. And so, like, I'm a taxpayer. I'm mad at these kids who just don't understand. But I'm willing to make money to lie to them if that's what I need to do to survive. If it's me or them, I'm gonna lie to them to make more money off of them. That's how it's gonna work. And I'm gonna say, hey, get the sociology degree. I want my stock to go up, right? I don't care. I don't. Do you think I care about them at this point? No, because they don't listen. Okay, I told them for the last year, right? I was hinting on the fact that most people are getting bad degrees. I was hinting. I didn't even say it, but I was hinting on it. Some of the papers and the ones that I hinted on the most, I got F's or near F's on, right? But the ones I basically said, oh, education's good. I got an A on, and that really shows you that education's not is not actually education. It's a cult. It's an indoctrination. It's education indoctrination. In fact, that's one of my songs on my album that I'm making is education indoctrination. If you want to listen to my album, I will release it on SoundCloud when I have the chance, but I'm so lazy, it's going to take me months to fix it. But basically on my album, I have a song called Indoctrination Education. That's my ideology basically is I believe school isn't actually education, it's indoctrination. My mom said this to me, and she's a teacher, And so she has a little bit of a worldview than I do. She said, this teacher, so hypothetically, this was a good teacher. I do like this teacher. But, it was a teacher I had, and he was a science teacher, and he made everything exciting. But the problem is, and then my mom said, oh, shouldn't he deserve a living wage? But here's the issue is that a living wage is so high now in the United States. Rent is so high in the United States that a living wage doesn't make sense economically speaking, because that taxpayer who's out in the oil fields has to sacrifice his income for a teacher that he doesn't even know, for kids that oil rig worker doesn't take care of. Like, it's a very screwed up system that we're using other people's money to teach kids they don't even have. Some people do have kids, I'm not saying, but for the people who are lonely, who are single and will never have kids, like, they're just paying taxes for kids that they don't have. Like, isn't that kind of a messed up system a little bit? Like, I don't know, but it always makes you think, like, and then, the only way they boost their money, the teachers boost their money, is if they spend. The school spends more money, and then they put on the cost of education, right? And that's how the school gets more money. And so it's like, you could read about that. It's all over. There's this college report paper on it, and I always read. I always make sure that I read mostly pro education stuff, but I refute everything in my head. And so, like, that's what you want to do. You want to, like, see, okay, apparently these people are biased. I mean, you look at the college degrees that are offered: women's studies, political science. What is it? Like, all these degrees are very biased, right? They don't have, like, republicanism degrees, or, well, they do have. I guess they do. They have Christianity. They have certain other ones too. But, like, are you gonna get a job with them? No, you're not. But guess who's getting these primarily degrees? Pretty much everyone. I mean, psychology, littered with some politics. I mean, some of it. I'm not entirely, but prereqs at least have a lot of politics in it. I've seen videos of people going to prereq school, and they're like, yeah, I don't like this. This is too political for me. But great thing is you can cater your teacher. If you write about communism and you say communism's good, and your teacher likes communism and thinks that teachers should get a higher salary to take taxpayer money away from me, then you can get an automatic A, because why wouldn't the teacher give you an A? I mean, the teacher's gonna get more money anyway. So yeah, I mean, that's the kind of mindset that these teachers and these students have is, wages high are good, and we don't worry about the cost of living. We just don't worry about that, because, maybe the cost of living goes higher, maybe it goes down. You never know, but it always goes up, and it goes up way higher than wages. If we keep hiring wages, it's gonna go. Economically, it makes. I don't know, Thomas Sowell talks about it, how you shouldn't just automatically hire wages for even the smallest companies, because the smallest companies go bankrupt, the bigger companies can afford to pay people higher wages. And so, like, there's all these stuff that it's hard to explain. The economy is not about money, it's about the supply of things. And the more our colleges don't teach that, they talk about money and this theoretical quantitative easing, right? Every economist course in every college in the United States is completely wrong. It's about, okay, how do we get the food on the shelves, right? It's not about money, it's about, whatever. I don't know. Today, though, I'm going to run 5 miles today. I'm going to do what I want today. I'm out of work today. And, I want you guys to think a little bit. Why did I mix dyslexia with this whole argument? I don't know. I think it's just something to do about corruption. It's more about my philosophy on life. Why should we worship the state? Why? Stop worshiping the state. That's the first part of my philosophy. Is stop using the state to bail you out of your dumb mistakes. Number one, you have debt. You have to pay it off. Stop using the court system of the state to bail you out of your dumb mistakes. Yeah, I mean, don't worship the state, and don't rely on the state. That's the number one thing. If you rely on the state as a teacher, give you a salary, why? Why would you do that? You've enslaved yourself to the state. You're now almost totally reliant on the state at that point. So, goodbye. Remember, you are someone and I am someone else. So, goodbye.